Part 20. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 191. Mu Rongxian brought a lot of gifts with a kind smile on his face. He sat down in the reception room. Mother Zhang poured him the best Longjing tea and asked, "Is the child doing well these days?" Mu Rongxian complained, "How could it be better?" Xiaoling feels wronged in her heart. It is true that she did not do the buying of the answer. Now she is fired for no reason. I am really afraid that she will be overwhelmed. He sighed rather deeply, and said, "Mrs. Zhang, I really have no choice. Dismissal is a small matter, but reputation is a big matter, and I have to report criticism. I'm really afraid that the child will not be able to bear it." Jiang's mother pondered for a moment, and said to him, "These days, I have contacted the directors of the school one by one. There is physical evidence for this matter, and Mu Ling can't deny it. The other directors firmly disagree with accepting such students who violate the school rules. Although I am a member of the council, I can't ignore the opinions of other council members. Mr. Mu, this matter, I really tried my best." Mu Rongxian didn't expect to wait for such a result after so many days of anxiety, and suddenly became anxious. "Mrs. Zhang, you must help me. Is there nothing I can do? Is there anything I can do? Just say it. As long as the child can continue to study, as a father, I am willing, no matter how much it costs." He acted like a father, but he was implying to Mother Zhang that he didn't mind spending some money to bribe other members of the council, and he only needed Mrs. Jiang's help in making connections. The smile on Jiang's mother's face was shallow, and she said gently, "Mr. Mu, don't worry, listen to me first. Mu Ling was found out of the cheat sheet in full view. If he is not punished, the school rules will not make it easy, but for a female student, if the criticism is reported, the harm will indeed be very great, so I discussed a solution with several other directors, and you can see if you can accept it." Mu Rongxuan's heart relaxed, and he immediately asked, "What is the solution?" Mother Zhang thought for a while and said to him, "Let Mu Ling drop out of school." Mu Rongxian was stunned, as if he couldn't accept it. How to go round and round, but in the end I still can't go to school." Jiang's mother said earnestly, "She was found out of the cheat sheet, which was witnessed by teachers and students. If she returns to school safe and sound, what will the people in the school think? Will the students exclude her from now on, and will the teachers have prejudice against her from now on? Can Mu Ling still study in Gray? Mr. Mu, you and I both know that the best way right now is to change the environment for the child. Dropping out can not only preserve the reputation of the Mu family, but also preserve the reputation of Gray. After all, the school doesn't want the leaked answers to spread." Mu Rongxian slowly came to his senses. Indeed, quitting school is the way out right now. Mu Ling's cheat sheet was found out in full view. She violated a big taboo in the school. If she went back like a normal person, the other students would definitely be upset. Gray's students are all arrogant and arrogant masters. If they really make trouble, it will be difficult to end. What's more, as long as Mu Ling is in school, they will always remember this matter, and tell about cheating from time to time. Even if Mu Ling graduates from Gray, students at her level will also remember cheating deeply in this matter. The Mu family has a graduate from a famous school, but it will be even more embarrassing. But dropping out is different. There can be many excuses, sickness, or going abroad. There is always a reason for Mu Ling to leave Gray quietly. Young students are very forgetful, and they will forget this matter in a short time. Mu Rongxian wanted to understand this, and heaved a sigh of relief. As long as the arrangements are made properly, Mu Ling will still be a noble daughter of a famous family, and the dignity of the Mu family will be preserved. This is the best result. Mrs. Zhang, thank you so much." Mu Rongxian thanked him sincerely. Mrs. Zhang smiled faintly. Mr. Mu, please don't thank me in a hurry. In fact, I have something to trouble you. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 192. At this moment, Mu Rongxian solved his troubles and was in a great mood. Rather than saying that he was worried about Mu Ling's future, he was more worried about his own dignity. His daughter would always marry, and he didn't care what books he read. His children were born in prestigious schools, of course they can give him money, but when scandals like cheating happen, some sacrifices are inevitable. Fortunately, he also has a daughter who is more motivated and sensible than Mu Ling. Life is unsatisfactory, and everything is often 89, how can everything go smoothly? Mu Rongxian thought he was lucky. Many people were in trouble and had no way to ask for help, but he just made a phone call, and Director Zhang would take care of things for him. Mu Rongxian was complacent. Of course, it is impossible to ask for help without paying anything. Madame Zhang opened her mouth, and Mu Rongxian readily agreed. You have helped me a lot. If there is anything I can do, as long as I can help, I will never refuse. Mother Zhang glanced at the direction of the screen from the corner of her eye, and said calmly, Mr. Mu must also know that something happened to my Huan before. Thanks to Lawyer Chu and Police Officer Zhang, he was cleared of his charges. Mu Rongxian nodded in agreement. Lawyer Chu is a young talent, and Officer Zhang is an excellent police officer who is dedicated to his work. Officer Zhang and Suzy are good friends. Suzy had an accident, and she has never been able to accept it. She has never stopped investigating these days. Recently, she has found some clues. Jiang's mother paused, and slowly looked at Mu Rongxian. Mu Rongxian's demeanor was calm, and he couldn't see anything unusual. Hearing this, he asked in surprise, what clues have been found? Could it be that Suzy's death was not an accident? Jiang's mother smiled slightly, and said implicitly, I'm just a messenger, and I don't know exactly what I found, but Officer Zhang said that Mr. Mu seemed to have gone to the bow when the accident happened. If Mr. Mu did anything, or, what you saw, you might as well say it, maybe it will help the investigation. After she finished speaking, she quietly looked at Mu Rongxian with an elegant smile. Mu Rongxian's mind turned and turned again and again, and he understood. If it was just an ordinary question, Zhang Sida could ask Mu Rongxian directly. After all, it is the duty of citizens to assist the police in handling cases. But Zhang Ci found the Zhang family. This meant that if Mu Rongxian's answer did not satisfy Zhang Ci, then Mother Zhang would not help him solve Mu Ling's problem. At that time, Mu Ling will still be expelled and criticized, and as a father, he will also be talked about and his reputation will be ruined. Mu Rongxian was silent. There were no surveillance cameras on the periphery of the yacht, and the dinner party was a mess. He was obviously not noticed by anyone when he went to the bow. How did Zhang Ci know? Mu Rongxian didn't answer for a while, and Mother Zhang didn't urge her. She picked up the Huawarusai teacup, drank it quietly and gracefully, with a calm expression on her face, as if she was just an outsider, and didn't care about the final result of the matter. Mu Rongxian's bright mood just now was shrouded in dark clouds for a moment, and his face was a little dark. He thought that the price was nothing more than giving gifts and money, but who knew, it was actually a trick. If you admit it, you will be involved in the homicide case. If you deny it, your daughter will be fired. The living room was quiet, and the daffodils on the table were soft and tender, stretching their branches and leaves silently. Mu Rongxian considered for a long time, and finally made a decision. I did go to the bow of the boat, but I was out of good intentions. Mu Rongxian said in a deep voice, I saw someone drugging Suzy, and I followed to the bow of the boat because I was afraid that something would happen to her, but I went to the bow of the boat when I was here, I didn't see anyone, so I went back the same way. I didn't do anything. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 193. Behind the screen, Zhang Ci looked at Mu Zi in surprise. Mu Zi was also shocked. Someone gave her medicine? Why doesn't she know? Could this be a nonsense fabricated by Mu Rongxian in order to escape guilt? Zhang Ci also had such a guess. Su Zi is already dead, and he can't even find the body. Whether he was drugged or not, he can just say whatever he wants. Mother Zhang was shocked. Mr. Mu, why didn't you tell the police about such an important matter? If this detail is exposed, Su Zi's death will not be easily classified as an accident. Mrs. Zhang, I wasn't sure at the time. Mu Rongxian smiled wryly. You also know that when young people hold such banquets, they often have tricks and pranks, and deliberately put mustard, lemon candy, and mint in the wine sugar. It's a common thing. I accidentally caught a glimpse of it, and I don't know what it is, and I saw her going to the bow by herself, so I followed her when I was worried. After he finished speaking, he sighed again, and continued, moreover, all the relatives and friends invited by Zhenning on the boat have very close relationships. Who would harm Su Zi? It doesn't make sense. Jiang's mother sighed. Heaven is jealous of talents. Su Zi's death is so sudden, even I feel sorry. Officer Zhang must be more difficult to accept. Mu Rongxian also sighed. Mother Zhang asked again, Mr. Mu, have you seen who gave Su Zi the medicine? Behind the screen, Mu Zi and Zhang Ci looked at each other, their hearts lifted at the same time. If Mu Rongxian can really explain why, then what he said is very likely to be true. At the wedding anniversary party between Mu Zhenning and Su Zi, there was a person who drugged Su Zi. The two waited with bated breath, but the voice on the other end suddenly dropped, and the whispers could not be heard clearly. This is very weird, but they don't want to rush to look at it, so they can only continue to wait patiently. In the end, he waited for a while, waiting for the sound of Mu Rongxian saying goodbye to Jiang's mother. Both Mu Zi and Zhang Ci were puzzled. Just when the two were wondering, Mother Zhang came behind the screen with an unusually dignified expression. Did he say it? Zhang Ci asked urgently. Mother Zhang nodded heavily, took out her phone, and started playing the video on the phone. This is the video that Mu Ling took that day. Mu Rongxian watched this video and found out that someone tampered with Su Zi's wine. Although there were no surveillance cameras on the yacht that day, the guests who attended the party more or less took some short videos and photos of the dinner. Both Mu Ling and Mu Yun took a lot of pictures, and the content was nothing more than eating, drinking, and having fun. Mu Rongxian casually flipped through them, and accidentally discovered something. In the 17th and 18th seconds of the 30-second video, Xiao Jingjia appeared in the background. She poured something into a glass of wine on the table. It was too far away to see what it was, but she sure did add to the glass. Mu Zi's lips turned pale, and she already vaguely knew what was going to happen next. Sure enough, Su Zi appeared on the screen after a while. Xiao Jingjia said something to her, and handed the glass of wine to Su Zi with a natural movement, and then Su Zi left the screen holding the wine glass. The three of them watched the video quietly, but no one spoke. After a long time, Zhang Ci took a breath and said, Mrs. Zhang, thank you today. Jiang's mother still had lingering fears in her heart, and covered her heart and said, could it be that Su Zi was killed by Xiao Jingjia? It's too scary. How can such a person be a prosecutor? He should be struck by lightning. It's not clear yet. I will take this video back and let the colleagues in the technical department analyze the results as soon as possible. Zhang Ci's voice was low, his eyes were cold. Mu Rongxian was dishonest and kept the video until now. If it was just an ordinary playful video, it should have been deleted a long time ago, but Mu Rongxian kept it, which shows that he knows what Jiao Jingjia added to the wine. It is definitely not mince. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Hua Liao. Chapter 194. Mu Rongxuan's deliberate concealment, no matter what the reasons are ill-intentioned. More likely, he wanted to hold Jiao Jingjia's handle and hit a bamboo pole later. Zhang Xi and Mu Zi bid farewell to Jiang's mother and left Jiang's house. Mu Zi lowered her head and silently followed behind Zhang Xi. Her complexion was very bad. Zhang Xi was a little worried about her. He drove to the street and saw a coffee shop, so he parked the car on the side of the road and bought her a cup of coffee. "Are you okay?" Zhang Xi asked worriedly. Mu Zi shook her head lightly, holding the hot coffee in her hand and blowing on it. "I just didn't expect." She never thought that she would fall into Jiao Jingjia's hands. Fortunately, she always thought that she was smart and alert. It was ironic that she was pried into a corner by a little assistant and even lost her life. When a horse stumbles, people always miss it. Besides, we were working on a big case at that time, so we didn't have the energy to pay attention to Jiao Jingjia. Zhang Xi comforted her. Suzi has several assistants. In the procuratorate where female staff is scarce, Jiao Jingjia is the only female assistant under Suzi. Although her work ability is mediocre, because she is also a woman, Suzi will try her best to entrust Jiao Jingjia with certain tasks. Perhaps it was precisely because of this that Mu Zening had the illusion that Jiao Jingjia is Suzi's right-hand man and best friend. Mu Zi sipped his coffee, letting the bitterness linger on the tip of his tongue, feeling at a loss in his heart. If her first half of her life had been miserable, she would have died if she died. Maybe death would be a relief. But, what a glorious first half of her life. The beautiful and wise goddess of justice, how many people envy her. She loves her work and enjoys her life. Even if there is a scumbag Mu Zening, it doesn't matter, you can get a divorce. After the divorce, her life is still going smoothly. The sudden death cut off everything. She has nothing left. Identity, wealth, reputation, friends, everything has to be done from scratch, and a blood feud must be carried on her back. The white steam of the hot coffee curled up, and Mu Zi's face was obscured by the mist. She is not reconciled. Zhang Xi was also thinking. You can't ask directly, even if there is a video, she can make up excuses. Zhang Xi thought carefully, and said in a deep voice, first check her online shopping records, and a few pharmacies near her home, you can also inquire about it. Zhang Xi asked Mu Zi again, do you still have any memory of the wine you drank that day? Does it have a strange taste, or, is the color of the wine unusual? Mu Zi shook her head in confusion. No. It was the anniversary of the wedding, and all the guests sent gifts and blessings, and occasionally joked a few words. The atmosphere was warm and she was in a good mood. She went out to entertain. How could she pay attention to the problem with the wine she drank? It should be colorless and tasteless, or the smell is easily covered by wine, otherwise you should have an impression. Zhang Xi said. I was really dizzy at the time, but I didn't take it to heart. You know, I can't drink enough, and I will get drunk if I drink a little. Mu Zi recalled the situation that day, a lively party. Jiao Jingjia handed her a glass of wine, said that Mu Zening had prepared a mysterious gift, and asked her to go to the bow of the boat alone. She headed towards the bow of the ship, met some guests on the way, clinked glasses with each other, and drank a few sips. As for how the wine tasted, she couldn't remember it clearly. Later, when she got to the bow of the boat, she found that there was no one there. She thought she was early and was not in a hurry. She leaned on the railing, drinking and enjoying the night view of the river. Mu Zi pondered for a long time. Under the influence of drugs, my judgment may be biased, The reason why I believe the murderer is a man is because I felt that the person who pushed me was very strong. Now that I think about it, if I am dizzy, the strength of a woman will be too strong enough to push me overboard. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 195. So, maybe the person who killed her was Jiao Jingjia? It will always come to light. Zhang Xi patted her shoulder lightly. In the next few days, Zhang Xi asked the staff of the technical department of the police station to analyze the video, and initially determined that the drug was white, in the form of a pill or powder, easily soluble in wine, and had no obvious smell. At the same time, manpower was arranged to visit the large and small pharmacies near Jiao Jingjia's residence. There will be records of the sale of medicines. The only medicine Jiao Jingjia bought twice is just ordinary cold medicine tablets. Muzi also asked her company's technicians to check Jiao Jingjia's online shopping records, but found nothing. The investigation seems to have entered a dead end and lost its direction. But that medicine can't appear out of thin air. If she didn't buy it herself, then someone else gave it to her. Who gave the medicine to Jiao Jingjia? What is the purpose of the other party? Muzi has no idea. She found the suspect, but couldn't find conclusive evidence. The confusing truth made her feel anxious, and she was depressed every day. Even Zhang Xinyuan could see that she was not in the right mood. After asking several times, Muzi only excused that her homework was too difficult. A few days later, the arrangements for the skipping students were made. Muzi transferred to Zhang Xinyuan and Zhuangjia's class, and the homework was more difficult and more. There is a small test every week and a big test every month. The heavy homework makes her busy, and gradually she can't care about the sadness of the first half of her life. Unknowingly, in November, the late autumn is bleak. Murong Cheng disappeared for almost half a month. Last time he said he would be back in a few days, but there was no news. Bai Wei was used to his son's intermittent disappearance, so he would still mutter a few words occasionally. Muzi also thought of him a few times. I can't say I miss it much. In fact, when Murong Cheng was not around, she felt more at ease. At least she didn't have to worry about being attacked by someone when she slept at night. But, well, there is still some uneasiness. What if he died outside? Bai Wei is just such a son. Although he is annoying, he is not useless. He is filial, considerate, and very careful. Why? What do I think these are for? Muzi was irritable. Whenever I think of Murong Cheng, I feel all kinds of tangled and contradictory emotions. It's so strange, I simply don't want to think about it. On Friday, I just finished the foreign language test in the morning, and I have a math test in the afternoon. Everyone has been tortured to death by various exams recently, so Zhuangjia proposed to go out on Saturday to relax. Muzi didn't want to go at first, but seeing that both Zhuangjia and Zhang Xinyuan were enthusiastic, she agreed to hang out together. The next day, Muzi dressed up properly and went to the agreed place, but she didn't see Zhuangjia and Zhang Xinyuan. After checking the time, she realized that she had made a mistake and arrived an hour earlier. She was not in a hurry. She found a coffee shop nearby, and while drinking coffee, she casually looked at the passers-by on the street, waiting slowly and bored. Then I saw an acquaintance. To be precise, she is not familiar with her. She is Murong Cheng's girlfriend. If it wasn't for Bai Wei talking about this person from time to time, Muzi wouldn't even be able to remember her name, Su Xian. Su Xian was across the street, looking a little weird, like a little nervous. Muzi felt curious and couldn't help but examine it carefully. Not long after, she saw Murong Cheng. Murong Cheng was accompanied by a female companion, with curly hair, bright red lips, and a coquettish appearance and figure, which reminded her of the woman Zhuangjia met at the birthday party. Is this kind of beauty popular recently? The woman held Murong Cheng's arm and was very intimate with him. The two walked out from the hotel door side by side, and strolled along the pedestrian street like a couple. Muzi stared blankly. Although he knew that he was a flirtatious scumbag, Muzi was still stunned when he saw this scene. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 196. After being dazed, she felt a little sour in her heart. It turned out that he disappeared for so many days, not because he was busy, but because he fell in love with another woman. This cognition made Muzi have a sense of confusion in his heart that it really is so, and how it could be so. Almost subconsciously, Murong Cheng cooked for her, carried her down the mountain, and the sweet words he said flashed in her mind. Maybe he has done and said these things and words to other women? Muzi felt so empty in her heart that she didn't even know what she was missing. At this time, she saw Su Xian rushing up. Su Xian seemed to be waiting at the entrance of the hotel on purpose, and as soon as she saw Murong Cheng walking out with her beautiful family members, she immediately stepped forward to question her. The distance was too far, Muzi couldn't hear what they said, but felt that Murong Cheng's expression was so indifferent, he didn't even give Su Xian a look, and left indifferently with his female companion. Su Xian broke down emotionally, and cried loudly in the direction he left, "You promised to take care of me for the rest of your life." Murong Cheng seemed to have never heard of it. But these words were like a slap in the face, slapping Muzi hard on the face. Woke her up completely. The inexplicable sadness in my heart dissipated in an instant. Muzi was in a daze. What the hell am I eating? A man who bullies me, forces me, and monitors me, it's too late for me to hate him, why should I be jealous of him? Are you crazy? Could it be possible that after being oppressed for a long time, you will be tempted if you give him a little sweetness? It's Stockholm Syndrome. Wake up. Susie why do you want to fall in love with a man who forces you? Don't let yourself become cheap. She stared blankly across the street. Su Xian squatted on the side of the road in despair, hugging her knees and crying bitterly. Muzi felt that this was God's warning. God asked her to come here early to witness the scene with her own eyes. If she loses her guard and falls into the big net compiled by Murong Cheng, she may be the next Su Xian. To be pampered wantonly, and then to be ruthlessly abandoned. A cheap, undignified, poor woman who was played and humiliated. Muzi's heart is cold, like the frosty air in late autumn morning. Hey, what's wrong with you? The crisp female voice brought her back to life. It was Zhang Xinyuan who came. Zhang Xinyuan smiled and said, I thought I would be the first to arrive, but I didn't expect you to be earlier than me. Hey, what were you thinking just now? I called you several times and didn't respond. Muzi pulled up the corner of her mouth and wanted to smile back, but found that she couldn't smile at all. Zhang Xinyuan noticed her abnormal mood, was very puzzled, and looked at her suspiciously. I'm fine. Muzi pulled himself together. What do you want to drink? I'll treat you. Zhang Xinyuan felt that Muzi seemed unhappy, but Muzi didn't seem to intend to say it out, so Zhang Xinyuan didn't want to ask more, and pretended not to know, and said, then I'd like a cup of sea salt coffee. Muzi bought coffee and went back to her seat, then looked up, there was no one on the other side of the street. Su Xian left. The man who once promised to take care of Su Xian for the rest of his life, took the promise as a joke, and put his arms around another woman in the blink of an eye. When they came out of the hotel, they must have had a good time all night. Muzi thought of the details and felt chills all over his body. It's disgusting. Murong Cheng also pushed her under his body and messed around. Although he never really entered her body, his occupation and humiliation of her body will definitely not be less. I felt more and more that Murongchanza had gone to the extreme. He wouldn't even let his own sister go. It's just devoid of conscience. But fortunately, now that he finally has a new love, he must be happy not to think about leaving, and will never disturb her purity again. I's gloomy heart seemed to have opened a small window, gradually becoming clearer. Thinking about it this way, I felt that the pain in my heart just now was really stupid. She should be happy, she finally got rid of Murongchang. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Liao. Chapter 197. I's mood soared. She smiled and put the coffee in front of Zhang's Hinyuan, with a girlish sweetness in her voice. Zhuangjia is so slow, he must have slept in and still hasn't woken up, it's almost noon. Zhang's Hinyuan gave her a strange look, not understanding how her mood changed in a blink of an eye. She was obviously depressed just now. You seem very happy. Zhang's Hinyuan was a little confused. Yes, I admitted generously, squinting her bright eyes slightly. I suddenly realized the feeling of losing one's horse. Huh, Zhang's Hinyuan was even more confused. I thought it was a bad thing happened, but after thinking about it carefully, I found that it was actually very good for me. I smiled inscrutably. Zhang's Hinyuan looked bewildered. I didn't explain any more. She was immersed in joy. The more she thought about it, the happier she became. The corners of her mouth couldn't stop rising, every cell was jumping with joy. She's finally free from a demon. She should celebrate. This incident excited her more than getting the first place in the exam. Being jealous for Murongcheng is simply stupid. Not only should she not be jealous, but she should celebrate it. When Zhuangjia arrived, I said in high spirits, "Today I am treating guests, you can eat and play whatever you want." Zhuangjia and Zhang's Hinyuan looked at each other. What happened to her today? I don't know, maybe, you did well on Friday's exam. The three girls strolled along the pedestrian street for a while, and went to the cinema together to watch a movie. Zhuangjia chose a literary film, but Zhang's Hinyuan felt that the literary film was too sad, and she couldn't stand the low tears. The last three chose a romantic light comedy that has become popular recently. The plot of the movie is about a school dickboy who has a crush on the school goddess. When the graduation day is approaching, the dickboy is unwilling to part with the goddess, so he launches a series of confession behaviors, but the result is frequent embarrassment and jokes out of nowhere. There was constant laughter in the auditorium, but I was the one who laughed the most. She laughs at funny plots, and laughs at bad plots. Both Zhang's Hinyuan and Zhuangjia felt that I was in a weird mood today. Did you win the lottery? Zhuangjia teased her. I smiled without saying a word. After witnessing Murongcheng's intimacy with other women, she quickly adjusted her mentality, no longer indulged in meaningless loss, but was relieved. This movie fit her heart well and made her laugh when she wanted to. In the middle of the film screening, the auditorium suddenly became dark. Everyone was in an uproar. What happened? Is there something wrong? What are you doing? I'm watching. In the screening hall, people were talking about it. I and the others were also in a daze, unable to understand the situation. Fortunately, the voice of the staff soon sounded. I'm very sorry, due to the equipment failure of the theater, the screening is now suspended. Please line up and leave the audience to the right aisle. In the dark, people complained and condemned one after another. They paid to watch a movie and asked to leave halfway through. What is this? Another staff member claimed that the loss was repaid at 10 times the movie ticket price, and the next movie was arranged for free, and the complaints gradually subsided. Although Zhuangjia and Zhang's Hinyuan felt disappointed, they had no choice but to follow the flow of people and slowly move towards the exit. When you come out of the theater, the lights outside are bright. Strange, there is electricity outside, but the lights inside are not turned on, so I was stepped on several times, Zhuang Jie complained. Zhang Xinyuan looked around and asked, "Where's Zizi? Have you seen her?" "Ah, didn't she walk with you?" "No." "Call her cell phone and ask." Called the past, but no one answered. Muzi watched helplessly as the exit gate slowly closed, but her whole body was stiff, and she couldn't even utter a single cry. Murong Cheng gently rubbed her face with his fingertips, his voice hoarse. Zizi laughed very happily just now, huh. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Hua Liao. Chapter 198. In the darkness, Muse's body was tightly bound, and the man's deep and gloomy voice lingered in his ears, full of danger. "Why are you so happy?" he asked quietly. Muse was so frightened that her legs went limp. "You, aren't you with?" Her lips trembled and her heart beat in a mess. "With whom?" "Oh, so Zizi saw me," he murmured. His call-used fingertips ran down the girl's slender jaw, stopped on the slender neck, and slowly traced. Muse trembled even more, and felt that the hands seemed to be figuring out how to break her neck. Murong Cheng's voice was even lower, with a rustling sound, as if he was suppressing some emotion. "Tell me, brother, what did you see?" "No. I didn't see anything," she replied, her voice trembling. "Didn't see it," he laughed in a low voice, but there was no joy in that laughter, it only made people feel that death was approaching, gloomy and frightening. "But I saw Zizi." Murong Cheng wrapped his arms around her waist, his gentle movements were irresistible. "I saw Zizi drinking coffee, shopping with friends, watching a movie together. You are so happy, keep laughing, keep laughing, keep laughing." Muse wanted to say something, but the tip of her tongue was numb, she could only bite her lip, lowered her head desperately, not daring to look at Murong Cheng. She herself didn't understand why she was afraid of Murong Cheng being like this. Murong Cheng pinched her jaw, forcing her to raise her head and look directly at him. At this moment, the screen in the auditorium suddenly turned on, and the interrupted movie started showing again. The light from the screen hit Murong Cheng's side face, which was white and gloomy, and those deep and dark eyes seemed to be infused with ghosts, making them cold and cold. "Are movies so funny?" Murong Cheng's eyes were cold, he stared quietly into Muzi's eyes. "Since Zi likes to watch it, brother will accompany you." "Don't," Muzi resisted, she was too frightened, she knew that Murong Cheng was going crazy again. "Be obedient, Zizi." Murong Cheng gently touched her face, and said word by word, "I am very unhappy today." Muzi was anxious and frightened, tears were about to fall. The phone rang suddenly, and she was almost knocked out of her wits. Then he quickly found a savior, and hurriedly said, "My classmates are still waiting for me outside." Murong Cheng leaned over, reached into her bag with his slender hands, and ruthlessly pressed the off button. "When watching a movie, you should turn off your phone or turn it to silent," he said lightly. His stern face looked particularly gloomy in the flickering light of the screen. Muzi flinched for no reason, and didn't dare to say another word, so he led her to a seat in the middle of the auditorium, and sat down to watch the movie. The empty auditorium, only her and him. Muzi didn't understand how he did it. Maybe, this theater is also owned by the Huo family. She was terrified, her eyes were looking at the screen, but she had no idea what was going on in it, her brain was in a mess. No matter how embarrassing the male lead, she couldn't smile at all. What is extreme joy begets sorrow, Muzi finally realized today. She suffered for more than 40 minutes in panic, until subtitles began to appear on the screen. The movie is over? This is the end? Then, can she go home? Will Murong Cheng let him go back? Muzi anxiously looked at the man beside him. Murong Cheng looked in the direction of the screen with an unusually focused expression. He said softly, I'm afraid this kind of plot will only appear in movies. There is such a good thing in the world. The person you have a crush on also happens to have a crush on you. Not everyone is lucky enough to taste the taste of mutual love. What's more, one person is working hard foolishly, while the other person doesn't know anything. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 199. What he said made people feel sad, but his tone was extremely cold, like ice slag, making Muzi shiver with the cold. There was really no way to arouse a little sympathy. Did you say so, Zizi? Murong Cheng suddenly turned his face, staring at her with deep and cold eyes. Muzi's heart was in a mess. She really couldn't figure out why Murong Cheng had watched the last half of the movie seriously and commented on the plot out of his psychology. Such a light comedy of love has a happy ending. The campus goddess is also secretly in love with the male Diose. After the male Diose's confession failed one after another, the plot reversed. The goddess confessed to the Diose, and the two lived happily together. How unrealistic, in this real world where money is paramount, how could it be possible for a goddess to fall in love with Diose? Although the director deliberately showed the diligence and kindness of the low-level people, he still couldn't conceal the absurdity of the ending. It's just a work that makes everyone laugh, so why bother to delve into its meaning? Murong Cheng stood up, took Muzi's hand and walked out of the screening room silently. He walked slowly, but Muzi staggered. She grabbed his hand and begged, brother, I want to go home, I'm tired, Sissy should be fed too. Muzi felt scared. She felt that this moment was like the calm before the storm, and she didn't know what was waiting for her next. Murong Cheng's pace stagnated, but he didn't turn around. Under the dim light, the tall figure looked a little desolate and desolate. Zizi, as I said, don't try to reject me, and don't think you can leave me. His voice was soft, as if it was very gentle, but it also sounded like a ghost from hell, full of biting hostility. Muzi was terrified, and she collapsed. How could I not reject you? You monitor my daily life, control my freedom, force me and humiliate me every time. I really can't stand it. Murong Cheng, why can't you be normal? Muzi vented like a broken pot, you are kind, let me go, okay. Don't you have a woman outside? Why do you want to kill me? I don't want to become like Su Xian, who is thrown on the street for nothing. She has her pride, and she must not allow herself to be so-called pampered by men, and her dignity and will be consumed. Murong Cheng turned around when he heard the words, his eyes were frighteningly gloomy. He stared at Muzi and said coldly, it seems that Zi's memory is not very good, but it doesn't matter, I will find a way to let you understand, who is me, woman. Muzi's face turned pale for a moment. A chill ran down her back. Why would you want to say those things? Why should Murong Cheng be angered? He is a lunatic, arguing with a lunatic, can there be any result? In the end, I still suffer. She is finished. Murong Cheng will not let her go this time. Don't force me, Muzi's voice was sharp and terrified, Murong Cheng, I'm not your plaything. If you dare to force me, I will kill you. I will definitely kill you. Murong Cheng smiled, and that smile carried a flamboyant evil spirit. Muzi stared at him fiercely, don't underestimate me, I can use knives, guns, and poison, and I will make you hard to guard against. I will also deliberately leak your whereabouts, so that those who want to assassinate you come to kill you. If you dare to destroy me, I will kill you. Okay, he said, if you kill me, you don't want to live. We will be buried together, with flesh and bones rotting together. Even if you become a ghost, you can't leave me. Mu Zi's lips trembled, two rotting corpses were blurred and fused together in her mind, her scalp was numb. Why did Murong Cheng feel so perverted? Suddenly sad, eyes filled with heat. The madman. Madman. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 200. Mu Zi's whole body was stiff and was taken out of the screening room by Murong Cheng. Unexpectedly, she saw Murong Cheng's beautiful female companion at the door. The beauty also saw Mu Zi, but she didn't react at all. She followed Murong Cheng blankly, like a beautiful ghost. There was no one outside the screening hall. They took a special passage to the underground parking lot, and Murong Cheng's driver had been waiting for a long time. Murong Cheng took Mu Zi to sit in the back seat, and the beauty sat in the co-pilot's seat. The car drove smoothly and left the underground parking lot. The bright and scorching sun outside shone into the car, and it was so warm that Mu Zi finally felt a little bit of vitality. The brain dominated by fear gradually came to life, and she tried hard to think about what she wanted to do in order to save the current situation. Saying something that would kill Murong Cheng was just an angry talk. Even if she knew that Qiao Jingjia might be her murderer, she never wanted to kill Qiao Jingjia, she just wanted to bring the murderer to justice. The inertia of professional thinking determines the way she behaves in the world. She is a law-abiding person who knows the law and will never kill. Therefore, she can't kill Murong Cheng, nor can she get rid of Murong Cheng. She can only hope that one day this man suddenly finds his conscience and let her go, but, is this possible? Murong Cheng didn't say a word after getting into the car. His emotions are always tolerated like this. Once it explodes, it will destroy the world. Musa looked at the rapidly retreating scenery outside the car window, and knew that she couldn't sit still, so she mustered up her courage and wanted to make a final struggle. Murong Cheng, I. Before he finished speaking, Murong Cheng suddenly grabbed her jaw and kissed her fiercely. With an angry, ruthless, and rough kiss, he wished to devour her whole. Mu Zi was so frightened that she even forgot to struggle and resist, and let him kiss and suck in a daze. Her mind went blank for a moment. When she came to her senses, the kiss had become lingering, gentle and full of affection. Musa's atrium was sore and swollen. For some reason, she was so wrong that tears unconsciously filled her eyes and fell down. She hated Murong Cheng, hated his occasional tenderness, and even more hated herself who was moved by this tenderness. This bad guy, why can't he be more bad? She was only a little tempted. Obviously she could rein in the cliff, but Murong Cheng insisted on dragging her to jump down together. Force her to fall into the abyss of tenderness and sweetness, first feel the beauty of flying in the sky, and then fall to pieces. Heartbroken. Losing self and dignity is more terrible than death. She really hates Murong Cheng. Mu Zi seemed to foresee her miserable future. She cried violently, extremely sad. The tears were like broken beads, soaking into her long black and thick hair at the temples. As soon as she cried, Murong Cheng couldn't kiss her anymore. Even if there was overwhelming anger, it dissipated in an instant, leaving only heartache. You have to accept me, he hugged her and murmured, you have to accept me. Even if you can't be happy with each other, you must accept me. Today was an accident. He saw Mu Zi in a daze on the street. He thought it was because of his lovesickness too much. He misread it. However, Mu Zi was wearing the necklace he gave him, so he could locate her at any time. So Murong Cheng checked the positioning system and found that it was really her. He was a little worried, not sure if Mu Zi had seen the scene where Su Xian was making a fuss, so he decided to turn back and see the little thing's reaction. Even if she didn't misunderstand, it would be fun to scare her. In the end, he saw Mu Zi chatting with her classmates in high spirits. Her smile was as bright as the morning sun, which deeply hurt his eyes. He and Su Xian had only been together for 3 to 5 days, and Su Xian could cry bitterly for him. And he was so kind to Musa. Not only did Musa not feel sad, but he could also smile like this, such heartfelt joy. Murong Cheng thought to himself, she has no conscience.